I'm Katrina, and this is Sow and Tare. Today we're going to be planting some seeds directly into the garden. So this space is going to be the summer squash area, and we're going to be planting green beans over in another area. I'm going to try tomatoes in the front and cucumbers over behind you. So that is the plan. We'll see how much we get done today. Now, something interesting. This is a zucchini from last year. You can see it is all wrinkled and all, we're not going to eat this right now. But what's interesting about this is that you are able to keep them. This was just in the living room. I had it covered and underneath a blanket just so it didn't get much light, and it had some airflow underneath it. But this is how you get fresh seeds. So you can collect them later, or you can collect them sooner than now, but I figure why not? We might get some sprouting in here, so let's dig in and find out. Now we are at the point of this that we should be able to just break it open. Use a stick. I don't know where my hori went. Alright, so I'm just pulling this open. You can cut it. And you'll see it looks like a pumpkin on the inside. You can eat this if you want. It smells okay. I really should have brought a knife. This is what you'll find inside. It looks like a pumpkin. And we have these mature seeds. Now these are zucchini. These are, I believe, Black Beauty. And they look just like pumpkin seeds. If you want to save seeds for zucchini, you have to wait until they get big, and pretty much when you're not going to eat them. So we're going to plant some of these, and I'll dry some of these to share with people. And first thing we need to do, though, I'm keeping this beet because I want to save it for the greens and I want it to seed. I might keep another one, but this California poppy, which reseeds readily in my yard, I'm pulling out. Pulls out very easily, and as you can see, it has a really deep taproot on it. And so that brings up nutrients from the bottom as well. So this is actually really good thing to put as a mulch after you plant your seeds, or before you plant your seeds, however you want to do it. Alright, so today we're going to plant our zucchini that we saved from the yard. A gray zucchini, this is also called Mexican squash sometimes, or Mexican zucchini. And early prolific straight neck, which is the yellow one. These are both from Baker Creek. But whenever you plant these, you want to plant 2 or 3 per hole, and that's just to ensure that one of them sprouts, or 2 of them. And you can thin them. You can thin them or move them around after that point if you would like. So I'm just going to take 3, put them fairly close together near one of these holes in the drip hose. Now when I'm picking these seeds, they're the bigger seeds. Some of them are going to be a little flat, and you want the more plump ones just because they're going to be more viable. So like this one here is pretty thin, and whereas that one is much thicker, you want to use the thicker ones. And typical rule is to plant the seeds twice as deep as they are wide, unless your seed packet has special instructions, so that's what we're doing. And so this is going to be shared with the sweet potatoes, and I wasn't sure I was going to get any, but I see a sweet potato right here. There's a sweet potato coming up right there. So that's all I'm going to use this for. I'll pass this on to somebody else who wants seeds. Next up, I'm going to go for the early prolific straight neck. Now, these seeds are much smaller, but again, they're thick. You want to pick the thick ones. Usually in seed packets you'll get thick ones, but sometimes there'll be some thin ones. So yeah, I'm going to start one close to where these beets are. Again, I always plant 3 next to each other. There's actually quite a few sprouts of the sweet potato, which is kind of cool. So this, in the summer, will send up a stalk, and that will be a seed stalk, and then that'll be really good for this plant to procreate and seed elsewhere in the yard while these zucchinis are getting big and fruiting. Next up is the gray squash, also has smaller seeds. So this space is planted. We're going to go on to the green beans. I have a bunch of rabbit poop in here. The other beds I had thrown rabbit poop in, but I don't think I did that here. And if I did, I don't see it, so it's already gone in and more won't hurt. So rabbit poop is something that is a cold manure, so you can put it right on the plants, right on the ground without burning anything. So I'm just going to broadcast it. And that means it'll take a while to get in, but it's fine. This is a pretty nutrient-rich bed, and it has lots and lots of worms in it. Alright, one more thing over here. We're going to put this California poppy back on as a mulch. And this will dry out, so if you think I'm putting it on too thick, it'll dry out a little bit, and the plants will be able to grow through it. So that's how you get mulch without buying mulch. So that's a little more protected from the sun now, and we can move on to planting green beans. Last year, this is where the tomatoes were. We have this nice trellis, and then we have a arch trellis right there. And this is where the tomatoes were, and they're still there. Tomatillos also were here, and I was waiting to see if the tomatillos were going to come up, because we had a bunch of volunteer last year, but it looks like it didn't happen. You know, we do have some permanent things in here. This is a peach tree. It planted itself. I'm just waiting to see what happens with that. It's not going to stay there. I could probably dig it out. But this is something that I'm wanting to establish in my yard more, and it is a called Chinese chives. It's like a garlicky flavor, like a garlic chive. And then this is This is the seed head, and you can see it's already dropped its seeds. So hopefully more will come up in this area. We also have some chard in there, and well, I do need to dig up right there. There is a blackberry that has seeded itself. So I'm going to clean this up and come back, and we'll get to planting. So this area is now cleared. I do have one tomato that was a volunteer. Tomatoes were here last year. I've had them here for a couple years, so I don't want to do tomatoes here this year again, but it's a volunteer. I tend to keep volunteers where they pop up, unless there's a reason where I really don't want it there. But if I'm going to keep a volunteer, that's what I'm going to do. Volunteers tend to produce wonderfully, they grow wonderfully, and we'll keep an eye on this. It'll be easy to keep an eye on because it's in a different place than I'm going to plant the other tomatoes, and we'll see how, if it does do better, if it doesn't do better, and all of that. So this area is going to be beans. So I have several different types of beans that I'm going to be planting. Last year, on one of the trellises behind you, I planted green beans for the first time, like really in earnest, and they did really well. But they were string beans. So that means that we had to pull a string out of all of them, and quite frankly, we gave a lot to the chickens. We gave a lot to the worms. They didn't get eaten as they should have because we had so much work put into it, and there were so many other things happening in the garden to kind of waste time on that. So I went looking for a stringless green bean and found this. This is Ameritite. Got it from Territorial Seeds. And then these are some other seeds that I have that I'm going to plant over on the arch. So all of this behind me is going to be the green bean, and then on the arch I'm going to plant a wing bean. I haven't planted this yet. I've had it for a few years and I haven't planted it. And then these two I have planted before, and they're very good, and they're more of a sauteing bean. And they are the Thai purple potted yard bean and the long bean Taiwan black seeded. So these get really, really big and are really, really long and skinny, and they're more for stir fry type things. They're not going to can well. They're not going to, you know, I don't know, maybe you could freeze them, but these are more for fresh eating. So that's what's happening over there. So I'll put those seeds aside. And then for these, we're going to plant them 2 to 4 inches deep. Not deep. We're going to plant these 2 to 4 inches apart. And this bed here is wider than what we need for this. So I'm going to be planting something in the front. I'm not sure what. And then just the way I put this cattle panel up, there's a little bit of space in the back. So I might plant something over there later. I'm not sure what yet, but it's okay. We have time. And then I'll plant I have 3 lines of water in here. So on the middle line is where I'll plant over here, because the outer line, I want that to go to the beans that we're going to be putting over the archway. So here we go. 1 bean every 2 to 4 inches. And here is what those look like. Green beans, but they're black. Bring you down here so you can see what we're doing. So I'm just poking my finger in and putting a bean. In areas where this thing comes, where the second water line comes in, I'm just going to do the same. Now this area I did put rabbit manure on kind of midwinter, and I don't see any of it anymore. So all of that good nutrients has soaked in. There's no need to add anything at this point, I don't believe. So I'm not going to do that for this bed, because I know how much I put on here. I put on a lot. Now that we've gotten past that archway area, I can start planting in both of these rows, and they can both climb the trellis. Now green beans can climb quite a bit, so you want to make sure that you have a trellis of some sort for them. If you don't, it's going to be going along the ground, which is fine, but they're just going to be hard to harvest then. When you have raised beds like this, it is important to not step on them or lean on them a lot. Part of the purpose of having a raised bed is to keep your soil loose. So you have a controlled environment in a raised bed versus growing in the ground. When you have a raised bed, you have that ability to control what's in the bed, the moisture of the bed, but then also how compact it is. So don't walk across it. Don't, lean on it or anything like that. Beds, typically 4 feet is the most you want to go for the width of a bed, because you can reach in reliably about 2 feet to do something. If you have access from either side of the bed, 4 feet is the widest you want to go. I would not go wider than that. And you might want to go narrower than that if you have shorter arms, or if you have limited access, like maybe you can't get to the other side of the bed, then I would do that. So anyway, when you're planting, it's a good idea to keep that in your head, because you can really want to reach when all you have to do is just scoot up a little bit, scoot up a little bit and plant it there. We got a little worm. Okay. And again, this is a chard. We'll eat it and then it'll go to seed at some point in the summer. And at that point, the green beans will be trellised and we'll have food there already. This chard was also volunteer. We have a chard here and there. And I think that's all for the chards. It's interesting because the chard that was over here is yellow stemmed, and that's what this one is. But this one is green stemmed, so I'm not sure where it came from. It's okay, I'll take it. Green beans are planted. Before we leave this area, we're going to want to add some mulch. Because no matter what you believe, the birds will find these seeds without some mulch. I do like to use this poppy for mulch because it grows so easily. I don't have to plant it, I don't have to buy it. So I just use it. There you are. There's our mulch. On to the other beans. Alright, so these are the ones we're going to plant on this trellis. On our right hand side, we don't have that much irrigation, so I think I'm going to do this one because this one's new for me this year, and then on the other side I'll do these. Here's the black seeded ones. Now if you find a seed like this, you can toss it out there, but put in another one as a backup because that's not going to grow. So 4 to 6 inches. Now for the purple potted, that's what their seeds look like. Now my hopes is to be able to manage these ones in this direction and those ones up here and have them on different trellises. We'll see if that actually ends up working. Alright guys, so this is the archway I'm going to put the wing bean on, and then this trellis I have decided to do melons and 1 pumpkin. But I guess I'm doing another. I think that's a cucumber. Yeah, I think that's a cucumber. So this will also be here, and there's a beet. So we're just gonna have a happy family here. All right, so this bed currently has a cut down celery that I just cut down. Some sort of what I believe to be a cucumber. There's a little tomato there. It's going to be a cherry tomato. That's what was here last time. Hopefully I'll rig up something to have it go that way. But I'm also going to be cutting back the hot lip sage. It's kind of taken over the bed a little bit. There's also a beet right here that is already about to go to seed. There's a baby beet over here. So I'm going to keep those in there and plant out everything else. So first is the wing bean. Alright, here's the wing bean, and that is what their seed looks like. They're kind of interesting, and I've not planted these before. So we're going to plant some on the side of the archway. So 6 inches apart is what it says. That's how far apart these emitters are. So that's what I'm doing. So like I said, I was going to plant melons here, and that's what I have planted. So this is a sweet pumpkin. One of my friends gave me this, and this is the only pumpkin I'm going to plant this year. And we'll see what happens. I can't read any of the writing because I only read English, but she says it's good, so I'm going to plant it. And this is a honeydew, orange flesh honeydew, and a green flesh honeydew, and tamdew, which is also a green flesh honeydew. So we'll do honeydews and pumpkin on here, and I'm excited about these because honeydews and cantaloupes are so good fresh. They're so much better fresh than they are from the store, for sure. You'll grow it and be like, I don't want to buy any from the store. Alright, here we go. I think the pumpkins I'm going to plant on this side because I'm going to let them actually go out on the ground, or when I make a trellis for that, for the cherry tomato that sprouted up, I might put it on the same trellis as that. So I might do another archway going this way. Maybe I'll do that. Okay, we can do more archways. Okay, I think I'm gonna plant 4 of these, and this is what the seed looks like. They're quite thick, which is nice. I also put rabbit poop in this. One, so I'm not too concerned about extra stuff. Putting extra fertilizer. Next up is Honeydew, and I'm gonna plant 2 to a spot. Yeah, I'll do 3 areas of 2 seeds. Next up is the orange flesh honeydew. Ooh, back side of this is open. Well, maybe those will volunteer. And that's the orange flesh honeydew seeds. And here is the honeydew green flesh, which I'm gonna have to move some of this hot lip sage for. All right, melons are done. We're gonna cover it up with some mulch. We're gonna cover it with some mulch, and then the melons are done. Some people mulch and then seed into the mulch, like make holes in the mulch, but I know that this is going to kind of dry up pretty quickly and allow that room for them to come through, so it's okay to do that with this. If it's hay or something that's not gonna break down as fast, you might want to put the mulch on first. On to the cucumbers. The thing about planting a little late, which is not on purpose for me, is some things are already coming up, so you know where things are going to come up. One time this happened to me. See all this stuff? There's this one and all of those and all of those. There's a lot over there. That's Malabar spinach. So I know I don't need to plant anything there because that's where it wants to leave. We have, that looks like it might be a peach. We'll leave it there, see what happens. This is a weed, and go to the chickens. Here's a bean. Okay. There is, I don't know what that is. We'll find out what that is. But I also have a bunch of baby oak trees, which the jays plant. So to me, here, there's the actual acorn, and there's the plant. If you have these in your garden and you want them to go out, you need to take them out when they're small. Look how big that root is. It just gets bigger. So, and if you break them off, they will continue to grow and they'll be harder to get out. I'm gonna get this bed ready and then we'll get planting. I don't remember if I put rabbit poop on this bed or not. I think I probably did, but I can't see any. I'm gonna put more on. I have it. It's not gonna hurt anything. Since this bed is a little, well, it's coffin shaped. It's narrow down here and it's not so narrow down there. I've had this in this cattle panel in the center for a long time now, so I am actually going to change this and put that stake I'm going to move over, and then I'm going to put another stake over here, so it'll be kind of a triangle trellis, and I think we'll be able to fit more cucumbers on there. So I'm gonna do that. I'll be right back. All right, so that took a while to do. We took a break, and so this is now up. I have my book thing that I got for free, which is Great Trellis, And we have our V, our little triangle there. So I'm going to be planting 5 varieties of cucumber on this in this bed. And so we're going to do Boothby Blonde, Early Fortune, Miniature White, Heirloom Armenian Cucumber, which is actually melon. This is really good with heat. This is always a winner for me. And Silver Slicer. So I wanted to alternate white and green. Just maybe I'll know which one's which then. I planted 2 white ones last year, and I don't know which produced because I planted them next to each other. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start with Silver Slicer on the bookend. All right, I'm gonna plant a couple per hole just to make sure, and I'm gonna plant where there is a waterer, where it has a water hole. Next up is Armenian Cucumber, and I am going to plant that on the south side. So these are up off the ground a couple feet, so we'll wait and see how they grow. If they're going to grow and reach for things, then we can eventually put them on there. If not, we can tie strings on here and just kind of let it fall down towards the seed or towards the plant, and the plant will find it and climb up. Next up is Miniature White Cucumber on the south side. Next up is Boothby Blonde, and I'm going to put that on the north side closer to the bookend. That way we have green, white, white, green, and then we know that this bookend is white. Alright, last in is Early Fortune on the far end. Alright, cucumbers are planted. We're going to put some of the poppies on as mulch and it'll be done. Covered ground also lets the animals know that there's not new seeds there. So it's a little bit of camouflage for the birds. And our seed planting's done. So have a great seed planting, and a whole lot of things you can direct sow. You can direct sow a lot of things. So get planting now if you haven't already. Have a good one.